In order for me to be able to have these open conversations and just be myself in sport, I felt like I had to come out. I heard a lot of Black people can't swim, Black people sink in water. I think that drive kind of helped me actually achieve the impossible, or what I thought was the impossible, because I had so many different voices in my head telling me that it can't be done. But I think for most queer LGBTQ plus people, you do have a lot of time in the darkness. And I think when you do come out, you need that support, you need that representation. You know, everyone kind of goes in and say they want an Olympic medal. I never got kind of my Olympic medal, but I got my Olympic kind of moment. So I think it's tough because actually I'm changing, and I don't know if people will accept that.
Hello and welcome back to the queerest podcast telling the fiercest stories. This is Queer Talker and I'm Ben Cicchetti. Before we get to my conversation with the incredible and inspiring Michael Gunning, I've got a quick favour to ask. If you enjoy this episode, hit that subscribe button wherever you enjoy this podcast and help us grow it in 2026. But now let's jump straight into my conversation with Michael. Michael, you are our first guest of 2026. So I'd like to break from tradition and start by asking you about your hopes, dreams, and goals for 2026.
Oh, yes. Well, firstly, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you had a good festive season. But yeah, this year, I think last year I traveled a lot. And I think as an athlete, I have traveled quite a lot anyway, but all I see is the swimming pool and the hotel or the village or wherever I'm staying. So I think it was really nice last year to just travel and get myself out there and actually see places. But I think this year, again, more travel, but I want to take myself out of my comfort zone. I want to try new things. I need new challenges. I think I always start every year thinking, oh my gosh, I've not got enough stuff or work. And it's always kind of this pressure. But I think I'm going to embrace feeling a little bit uncomfortable and seeing what the year brings.
I love that. Keep crushing it. Keep doing amazing things. That's a great way to look at the year ahead. Well, we will now jump into our Queer Panic rapid fire questions that are just designed to get to know you a little bit better. And you just respond with the first thing that comes to mind. Starting with, what was the first album you ever owned?
Oh, I'm going to say Ariana Grande. Definitely. Yeah.
Amazing choice. I love that. If you had to lip sync for your life, what song would you choose?
What a question. Oh, I don't know. I'm a massive fan of ABBA and Mamma Mia, so I feel like because I know it
Yes.
word for word, I could probably lip sync it quite well. But
Yes.
yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, you can bring the drama. I like that. I can see that totally being a thing.
Oh yeah, I think Does Your Mother Know? Let's go with that.
Ooh, there we go. Pulled it out. Great. What is your favorite queer movie or TV show?
Oh, these questions are hard. I think I love Call Me by Your Name because it's just incredible. It gets you in all the feels, but also it's not necessarily the ending I want or anyone wants. And I think that is okay. That is sometimes life. So I think, yeah, even though it's not my most favorite, I think in LGBT queer media it is really powerful.
Yeah, I love that choice. Who is your ultimate queer icon?
Oh, I'm going to have to say Jonathan Daley. I think
Amazing.
that representation in the media is just amazing. He is helping people along the way with obviously Just Like Us, the charity, and he's just an absolute LGBT icon.
I love that. And the world's sexiest man 2025. So that's a great choice.
I mean, I know.
What is your biggest red flag?
Oh, selfishness. That was a quick answer. I think,
Yeah.
I'm all about bringing people up, bringing people along on the journey. So anyone that is just out for themselves, that is only thinking of themselves, I'm not here for it. So yeah, that's a massive red flag for me.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, you were nominated to be on this podcast by our mutual friend, Ella Day. So in return, who is one person you would like to hear on the podcast?
Oh, you think? There's probably many people, but I'm going to say James Barr because we are actually completely different people. but somehow we are really good friends. We always have so much banter. And every time he talks about something, well, I think we learn so much off each other. And every time he talks about something, I'm like a sponge and I absorb it all. And I think, yeah, he'd be a really good guest for the podcast.
Okay, I love that. James, I'm going to be sliding into your DMs very soon to get you on the podcast. That's great. And then final of our Queer Panic questions. What is one word you would use to describe your childhood?
Oh, like in one word.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
I'm going to say unique. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think many highs and lows in my childhood. Many highs. Like my family are incredible, and I will always be the biggest family person. But I would actually say I'm very different in my family and at home to what I was at school and in my swimming sessions when I was younger, because I was trying to be someone that I wasn't in those areas, but I
Mm.
could actually be myself at home. So yeah, I think quite unique because not many people have to switch between roles.
Yeah, yeah, that could be quite exhausting. And I guess obviously you say unique, and we kind of touched on your childhood there a little bit. I have this theory that to understand an LGBTQ plus person as an adult, you do first need to understand them as a young person. So based on that,
Mm.
based on unique, what should I know about you as a child or a teenager to understand the Michael that sits in front of me today?
Oh, yeah. I think I was just always overcompensating. I was always trying to prove people wrong. I was always trying to almost blend in. But as I
Mm,
just mentioned, like when I was at home, I was the complete opposite, and I was trying to stand out. And I actually don't know how my parents and my brother put up with me because I was a lot at home. But yeah, I think I was just trying to overcompensate for just trying to fit in and be normal at school and at training and just being out and about. So yeah, unfortunately, there was a lot of suppression, but I could
mm.
be who I wanted to be at home.
And then do you think that kind of overcompensation and that desire to prove people wrong, do you think that also helped you from a competitor perspective and from a competitive perspective? Did it push you when you kind of got in the pool and you were swimming?
Oh, absolutely. I was so dedicated and I was always just trying to justify things to myself because people would
Mm,
always used to say to me, you would never be able to do that. You'd never be able to do the butterfly. I heard a lot of black people can't swim, black people sink in water. And I was like, right, watch me. And it was
yeah.
kind of all through life, like whether it was a competition I was aiming for, whether it was something that I was going for. I think that drive kind of helped me actually achieve the impossible or what I thought was the impossible because I had so many different voices in my head telling me that it can't be done.
Yeah. And then I guess in that environment, in that kind of the sports environment and that environment where you were trying to hide such a big part of yourself, do you remember the first LGBTQ plus person you became aware of, either in real life or in the media, and kind of how that felt seeing that person for you?
Yeah, I think the very first person was Ellen DeGeneres, to be honest, because just being on television, she was really
Yeah.
authentic. I can't ever recall her talking about her sexuality.
Mm,
But I think it was just nice to see someone being so raw and authentic on screen. But probably the first person for me was Tom Daley because obviously he had such a big coming out in the world of sport, in the world in general. I also used to know him as well. I knew him. I used to train alongside him. So I think it was really nice to be able to see that representation and be able to ask questions to him and speak about it because I think it's hard when you see it on television and sometimes there's that block. You can't always go and just ask them questions. Whereas I was really lucky that I could just go up to Tom and tell him how I felt. I never said I'm the same. I just kind
mm.
of was really open and said, this is how I feel right now. I don't feel myself and um, a lot of anxiety. And he kind of helped show me on that path into self-discovery and learning to love myself, which I'm really lucky to have someone like him to help.
Yeah, and that was such a huge moment when Tom came out, and it was so positively received. Obviously, in the mainstream, I'm sure as everyone experiences, there may have been some negativity for him through social media, but largely, it was such an overwhelmingly positive experience for him. Did that help
Yeah.
you in your journey, seeing it so amazingly received? Did you feel like there was hope for you as you kind of went on your own journey?
Yeah, I think it also brought a lot of anxiety as well, to be honest,
Yeah.
because I think I knew, especially with my heritage of Jamaica and
Mhm.
just being in sport, I think obviously the media have such a big part to play, but you never really know how people are going to receive it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I came out, I had so many messages saying, "Who cares? Why are you talking about this?" But actually it was a big deal to me. And in order for me to be able to have these open conversations and just be myself in sport, I felt like I had to come out. But
Yeah.
ultimately what we want is for no one to officially come out. Everyone can just talk about their partners or who they're dating and it just be normal. But unfortunately, still in 2026, it's not.
Yeah. And we do still need people like you, right? Because people will have seen you do that. So people say, why do you need to come out and so on and so forth. Because of where we are with society, people need to be able to see people like you come out, people who look like them, sound like them, act like them, love like them, come out, so they know it's possible for them to do it.
Oh, definitely. I think for most LGBT people, there is always that dark tunnel that you go through at some point. Some people might be lucky and not have to go through that tunnel, but I think for most queer LGBTQ plus people, you do have a lot of time in the darkness. And I think when you do come out, you need that support, you need that representation. I'm still get so overwhelmed by how many messages I get. People just saying that they've seen my story and they've understood, they've recognized kind of that path that they're on. And it's just nice because I'm just being myself. I'm just living,
Yeah.
finally authentically. But it's just nice to know that I'm just Michael, and people can
Yeah.
kind of draw a bit of inspiration from that.
100%. So in that kind of experience then, and in your kind of journey, do you remember, many of us kind of remember that first feeling or that first spark of our inner queerness, and you might call it. Do you remember
Mm.
that first time you felt that in yourself and realized that you might be queer?
Unfortunately not. I think
Mm,
just being in swimming, being around lots of good looking people, I think I remember having those feelings, but shutting them down immediately because I was like, we're in a sport environment. This isn't normal. And I remember saying that
yeah.
so many times in my head that, I want to be normal.
Mm,
And I think because I was already so different in swimming, being a person of color, I was one of the only mixed race or black people in the British team that at the time I just
right.
didn't want to be further different from everyone else. So yeah, I do remember having those feelings, but going, no, suppressing it and kind of putting it into a box, which no one should have to do. And I think now that I'm so open and proud of who I am, I think I just want to open everyone's boxes and show them that it's okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little bit earlier on, and I can definitely feel it through this, is you come across as so incredibly authentic. Like it feels like you are just you no matter what you're doing. When do you think you
Mm.
first felt that authenticity? And then when did you feel, you know what, I can just bring that to everything I do, not feel I have to hide any part of who I am?
Yeah, I think so. I actually went obviously on a little dating show a few years ago, and I think that was the first time that I was with LGBTQ plus people, and I could have these
Okay.
open conversations. So I think for me that was when I really felt comfortable having these questions and opening up and talking about it because it was just like-minded people. And
Yeah.
then I think from then going to pride events, being with the community, being with allies, people that you just can celebrate and just be yourself with. Yeah, I think that just opened up a whole new world for me because finally I wasn't alone anymore, and there were so many people I
Yeah.
can talk to, even from the straight community, who could just listen and understand and share their knowledge.
Yeah. I think it's so incredibly important, those moments where the community comes together. And you attended Manchester Pride this year for the first time. And that was an incredibly important and poignant moment for you. What did that moment mean to you attending Pride in Manchester in 2025?
Yeah, last year attending Manchester was really special because personally I trained in Manchester for many years, and in 2017, I was at the Ariana Grande concert that unfortunately got bombed. So I think for me, being with people, I've always been a little bit anxious. And even though I do attend other Pride events, I try to kind of stay in, either behind the scenes, either up on the stage where I can see everyone, but I'm not normally immersed in the crowd just
Yeah.
because I have a lot of anxiety around it. So last year, actually being part of the parade in Manchester was so special because I just wanted to dedicate it to the lives that I'd lost. I wanted to dedicate it to the people that show up and allowed me to be myself and for me to be proud of who I am. Yeah, it really meant a huge lot, to be honest, last year. But very emotional as well. I remember feeling
Yeah.
so flat the next day because obviously there is so much emotion and kind of that feeling that goes into the day itself that the day after you kind of feel a bit flat. So I think that was tough, but actually, life's a roller coaster. You ride the waves, and that was a huge wave for me because it just meant so much more than just walking a parade or just attending the Pride event. It actually had a story behind it.
Yeah, I think it was incredibly important and it was incredibly moving to kind of hear about it and hear about that experience. One of the things you've spoken about is how swimming gave you structure and purpose from such a young age. What role do you feel that that sport played in shaping who you are today, both as an athlete and just as a person? Like, what did the swimming world do to you?
Oh, I think it just made me resilient. Um,
Mm,
for anyone to swim 30 hours a week and cover 60 to 80,000 meters every week, you've got to be a different kind of breed. Because even now,
yeah,
I swim now for fun, but I don't get anywhere near kind of that meterage or that hours in the pool. So I think it just teaches you to be resilient and to just go for your goal, whatever it is. And I think in my swimming career, at many times, I felt like a failure because I've not quite achieved what I set out to achieve. Everyone kind of goes in and they say they want an Olympic medal. I never got kind
mm,
of my Olympic medal, but I got my Olympic kind of moment. I think everyone gets their Olympic
yeah.
moment, whether you're in the Olympics, whether you're in the corporate industry, you kind of go for that gold winning moment. And for me, I think even though we don't always get there, that's okay. And it teaches you that there is so much more in that process.
Yeah, but you did get incredibly close, right? And I think it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that and not to kind of dredge up, hopefully, old wounds or any kind of negativity on it. But, you came
Mm,
incredibly close to competing at the Olympics and you secured a
yeah,
selection spot for Jamaica for the 2020 Olympics. And obviously, we all know what happened in 2020. The world changed
yeah.
forever. COVID changed a lot of people's plans. But as you reflect on that moment, what did it mean to you to secure that selection spot? And then with time and distance, how do you kind of reflect on it and feel on it today?
Yeah, I think there's no better feeling than qualifying for a team or setting a certain time that you've been aiming for. I was over the moon because I was in the best shape of my life. And I think I was just so excited of the future. And I think, like we said, sometimes it doesn't always pan out. And unfortunately, it didn't with that year and everything that happens. But I think, again, it's just made me more resilient and it's made me take a
Yeah.
step back and appreciate other things of what sport can give you, of what meeting, having a teammate and yeah, there is just so much more than life gives you really. I think you've got to look beyond it and go,
Yeah.
this is who we are, this is what we do. We might be doing this on a Monday, but actually take a step back. What else is happening on that Monday? Like even just a simple smile for me, walking around. You'll know me, I've always got a smile on my face, but actually you don't know how that can impact someone. So
Okay.
I think, yeah, that moment, even though it was so tough, I look back and actually me coming back and me supporting the Olympics and me obviously kind of helping with Pride House and being involved in all the different things that I'm now involved in probably came from that moment of feeling a little bit disappointed or not quite getting what I wanted and using it as fuel to then go into the next thing. So yeah, I think it made me even more resilient than I already was.
Yeah, and let's be clear, that's such an incredible achievement to have got that right. So, it's all context, I understand, but for anybody
Yeah.
outside that world to have got to that level of elite athlete to that level is incredibly impressive and incredibly important. And you said something earlier that I just wanted to kind of pull on a little bit is you said
Mm.
that, growing up and in that kind of swimming world, you didn't see people who looked like you, loved like you kind of in the swimming world. How did that absence of representation impact you? And what does it now mean for you to be, that role model for others that are going to see you and know that they can achieve their goals no matter what they look like, how they love, or anything else?
I think in life we see different opportunities as boxes and we've got to fit into certain boxes. For me as
Yeah.
an athlete, I always felt like I needed to fit into that elite athlete box and be masculine and be really intimidating and kind of scare people before I step up into the race. But actually, when I was myself and I could be relaxed and I could wave to the crowd and I could just do it for me, I think that's when I was fast. That's when I succeeded. That's when I got the times that I wanted. Um, and even now I've stepped away, I think obviously now I'm stepping into the entertainment industry. And I think at the beginning I tried to fit into that box of what do I need to be like? This is what I need to do. I need to go to that event. I need to
Mm.
do this. And I think now I'm actually realizing I just need to be me, because if it's meant to be, I'll keep knocking on those doors. When I was swimming, I kept going to those competitions and just trying to be my authentic self. And that is when I succeeded. So I think it's nice now that people are seeing that in the workplaces,
Yeah.
no matter who you are. I think people now can take away those boxes and go, this is who I am and this is what I can bring to that role or to that athlete, which I think is really special. And everyone needs to do that, really.
Yeah, I agree. The weight that comes off your shoulders when you can just be your authentic self all the time and just accept that, yes, maybe that might mean, certain opportunities won't work out or whatever it might be. Just being yourself, the
Yeah,
relief you feel and not having to hide who you are at all times is incredible. And so it is such an important message to people that they should kind of be authentic and just kind of live their life because, we only get one go at this. So let's make it worth it.
absolutely.
And we mentioned you were nominated to be on the podcast by Elle of a Day. And they wanted me to ask you a question. And they wanted me to
Okay.
ask you, how did life as an elite athlete, with all the training, structure, and sacrifices that come with it, affect your experience or your gay experience and your ability to date or form relationships or form close friendships? So what kind of impact did that, do you think that had on you from a personal perspective?
Oh, what a question, Nick.
I know, going in hard straight away.
I think it just made me feel so isolated again, because there was not many people who was there living it and that I
Mm,
felt like I could look up to or talk about it to someone. Obviously my coach, I love my coach, I love my teammates, but again, we're there to do the job, we're there to swim. And I think sometimes
yeah,
that took over. Sometimes we thought to ourselves, right, we're here because of this role, when actually we can bring ourselves, and those different pieces that we learn and the highs and lows to training every day. We hear about the
yeah,
workplace. Well, for me, for so many years, the swimming pool, the gym, the competition weekends, that was my workplace. But actually, you've got to be yourself. So I think for me, it was like a lot of suppression. That I just, again, ticking those boxes, kind of trying to fit in, when actually I should have just been me and had those jokes and had those conversations, because it takes up so much of your life, but also I don't
yeah,
regret a single moment of it. It's so rewarding. And whether you do it for a sport purpose, whether you're just learning to swim or learning a new skill, it can bring you so much in that process.
yeah. I agree. And we touched on this a little bit, but you came out publicly on the BioLife. What did that
Ooh.
moment mean to you? And what was going through your mind at the time? And how did it kind of change your life and your trajectory that moment forward?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me was I didn't want to have to sit down with everyone and have to come out to everyone individually.
Mm,
It was really nice to just be on a show and just have these conversations. And for me, I'd never been on a date before. I'd never
yeah,
experienced it. I never really had these conversations with, the LGBT community before. So I think it was really nice just to be open, be myself, have these conversations, and just come out once to this amazing group of people that I felt like at the time, they were like my family, because everyone just understood, they were listening, and obviously it was then broadcast to the world. And then I just had so much love and support, a lot of hate as well. I think
yeah,
there's always the highs and lows. And I think especially with my heritage of being with Jamaica, it is illegal to hold hands in Jamaica. There's still that, anti law for LGBTQ plus people. But I think for me, it was almost like the start of something special, because finally I could be myself, but also I could give back and help other areas of the world that I never really had the platform to do. So yeah, it was really overwhelming, but the love definitely outweighed the hate. And yeah, I was totally overwhelmed. So I think that's when my life changed, because actually then I
yeah,
was seen as this inspirational personality when I was just being Michael. So yeah, it was
yeah.
quite crazy.
And do you feel like you need to compartmentalize any element of that? Like, you obviously have to protect yourself in your own mental well-being, but there must be a lot of pressure knowing that so many people are looking at you, so many people are kind of paying attention to what you do. How do you kind of deal with that struggle, or if it is a struggle, of kind of Michael day to day versus Michael, the kind of the public figure?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to sign over and admit that there will always be people that are judging you, that people always think that they have an opinion of you before they actually know you. I think I'm really lucky because I am so authentic. And whether you meet me
Mhm.
on a good day or a bad day, you'll probably see all those traits because I'm so raw and I want to give it to everyone. I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is the real Michael, and you can come to me whether you're sad, whether you're happy, no matter what it is. But I think it definitely takes a toll, because I'm not always happy. But again, when I do kind of post a picture online, being a swimmer, I think I'm massively insecure because obviously now I've retired. I don't look like what I once looked like. So I think there is this pressure of going, oh, can I post that or can I share that with people? So I think it's tough because actually I'm changing. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if people accept that, which I should do. I should be like, it's fine, people are going to accept me. But I think that's always in your mind because you're living so publicly in that public eye.
And that is such an incredible transition to go on, right? You retired from professional swimming in 2022. Like how did you come to that decision to retire? But then also kind of what was that transition like? You, as you said, you were kind of defined by being an elite athlete. That was your schedule day to day. That's what you were focused on. And finding that kind of that next purpose beyond the pool.
You know what? Knowing when to retire and actually officially announcing the retirement is such a scary point because your life changes overnight and suddenly
Yeah.
you are this unreal athlete that is in a bubble and not many people understand that bubble to suddenly being a normal human being. And I think
Yeah.
my thing is actually what is normal. Everyone's journey is different. So even though I was so scared to actually say I'm done, I knew that I'll always be connected with swimming and with sport and with empowering young people to learn to swim or to try a new
Mm,
challenge. Um, so yeah, I think it was a really, really tough decision, and it is for everyone. But I think when you know, and deep down, I was like, I'm ready to give back in other ways. You know, I do love swimming. I still swim, but it's not my be all and end all anymore. So I think it was really hard to kind of sign away and say I'm not the athlete. And to be fair, I still say I'm not saying I'm a former athlete or a
there you
former
go.
professional swimmer. So I still keep that identity. But it's
Yeah.
just nice now to kind of use it in other ways and to see what is next. Yeah, I can't believe I've retired from swimming. When I say that, people don't believe me. They're like, "You're retired already?" But I'm on to my next chapter, which is amazing.
Yeah. I'm actually curious because, like, obviously, I'm never going to be an elite athlete, but like when you change
You don't
jobs,
know.
there's that
You never
very,
know.
you never know. You never know what could happen. We'll keep the door open. But when you change jobs in kind of my world, there is that strange feeling literally the day after your last day. When you woke up the day after you retired, how did that feel? Was there a strange, I should be going to the pool, but I'm not? Like, how was kind of that first initial day and that initial morning?
Honestly, it felt awful because I remember
Okay.
drinking loads of wine and having that burger that I've always wanted, and I just done everything, and then realized I shouldn't have done it all in that one day. And actually, it's not greener on the other side. Like because I've always said, oh, I'd love to go out with my friends and all the things that I missed when I was an athlete. I kind of thought
Yeah.
that, oh, I can make up for it now. And, don't get me wrong, I definitely am still going out now and it's nice to kind of have that, but you don't need to do it all. And I think it's your mindset.
Yeah.
For so long, I thought I was missing out and I was, oh, I'm looking forward to actually stepping away and being a normal person. But it's not greener on the other side. And that balance, and I think actually lockdown taught us a lot because we do commit so much, we sacrifice so much, but it's okay to go to that party now and again. It's okay to have a few
Yeah.
glasses of wine or alcohol, if you're still that elite swimmer, because it's a balance. And I remember as well with Tom Daley, we kind of had a year out of alcohol, and it didn't really help us. I think there was elements where our training was better, but I think just going and switching and going, this is, a sacrifice. I'm going to do it to be better. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So, I always thought that day after I retired would be amazing, but I kind of felt really unhealthy and was like, I want to eat healthy again, and I want to swim. I missed it, which is crazy.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And today, like if you went swimming today and there are people in the pool and they're doing laps with you, can you kind of hold on to that competitive nature, or do you kind of find yourself looking around and kind of racing people that don't even know they're being raced by you?
I will always have that competitive nature. I don't think people like me in the public swimming pool, but if I'm not racing someone, I'm going, right, let's try and lap them. Let's see how many times I can swim past them. I think there's always that competitive, streak inside me, but I think it's all about having goals. I think what I need to actually do is set different goals, because I've done that when I was swimming. So now I almost need to set it outside. And I think this year I want a year full of challenges. I want to take myself out of my comfort zone. I want to do something different. I want to push myself in other ways. That might not be sport, that might be in other areas, but I think everyone needs that drive. They can't just be doing something for the sake of doing it. So, and even though I'm like, I want to get my six pack, keep my six pack, sometimes it's just not enough. You need other goals, you need other drive. That
actually is such an interesting point, because, swimmers, there is a certain expectation to look a certain way, right? Did you feel that pressure, or does that, my naive mind, does that naturally come from the schedule of what you're doing? Or did you feel such an incredible pressure to look a certain way because you knew what people's expectations were?
Honestly, no. That was just our training. And I think it's only now that I've stepped away and I'm looking back and I'm going, wow, like I was so fit there. And, some of the sessions that I used to do, I get in the water now and I'm like, how did I do that? And you take it for granted because you're in this bubble, you're in this athlete bubble that you're just doing it for your job. So now to kind of keep looking that way, or to keep that fitness level up, not that it's a chore, but it's very tough at times. When I was swimming, I would set my alarm for 5 a.m. and I would get up out of bed, no question, because that was my job. Whereas now to do exercise in the morning, it's hard work. I don't know how everyone does it.
Yeah, that's totally true. I'm a morning workout person, so I'm up at 5:30 and go to the gym every day. So yeah, I can totally appreciate that tough schedule.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to kind of revisit someone we started this conversation talking about. We started this conversation talking about young Michael. So I'd like to revisit him. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? And would it be different if I said, what advice would you give to a young LGBTQ plus person today?
Oh, good question. I think I would tell myself that it's okay to be different. Like I mentioned, I was trying so often to fit in, to be like everyone else, that when I was at home, I could then be crazy Michael and I could be the center of attention and enjoy myself. And, and I think when I was on holiday, again, I was just me, which was so special.
Yeah.
But then when I went back to school and I went back to swimming, I was fitting into that role. So I think I would just tell younger me to embrace being different, because it is your superpower. And to be honest, it's probably the same for other young LGBTQ plus people, because again, I think there is society and social media that make you want to be a certain way or act a certain way. But actually the people now, especially, all the young TikTokers, I'm still not on that kind of hype, but I think actually they're standing out because they are different. And it's so wonderful to see just people being uniquely them. The advice, especially to a young person, is to be uniquely you. Is that a phrase? Be uniquely you? I like that.
It is now.
I'm going to take that.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's such good advice. And I think in many ways, it's so important to have people like you who can show people that is possible, right? And I've touched on it a number of times, but as we kind of wrap up this podcast, I just think it's such an incredible thing that you've done. Obviously, such an incredible career in the swimming pool, achieving what you achieve, but then as a person, showing people that no matter what, they can achieve their goals, but more important even than achieving their goals, they can just live happy, authentic lives. So I just want to say thank you so much for all you've done for the community, but also thank you so much for being on Queer Talker with me today.
Honestly, it's a pleasure. I think there is such power in sharing your journey and sharing like-minded voices. So yeah, your podcast is amazing. I'm honoured to be the first one of 2026 and looking forward to hearing all your other ones and who you've got next.